Welcome back, folks. Craig Bushon here, live out at the North Shore Republican Club in beautiful Travis County. And this is the Keep America Free Gala event. And there's going to be about 240, 250 people here. And there'll be 13 politicians, just like the original 13 colonies, I guess. I guess that's a way to spin that one. I mean, the reality is that this is a very, very tense time in American politics, let alone local, state, Texas state politics. And I'm very excited about the man sitting to my right because it's somebody that you may or may not have heard of before. And I particularly like his name because I think it just flows very well. But Vik Vad, welcome to the Craig Bushon Show.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's a very exciting time right now. I'm very glad to be out at the event. This is going to be a very large event. It's one of the largest voting districts for Republican in all of Central Texas for the Republican Party. So this is kind of the place to be, isn't it?
Oh, I'm excited as well. It's going to be a great evening tonight. Yeah.
And but let's go back. I pulled up your website, and where I'm at, folks, is Vik Vad, but it's V-A-D, not V-O-D. So it's VIKVAD.com, VikVad.com. And I went right to your about. Okay, so I'm assuming this is going to be about you. And it says Vik Vad grew up in Austin and has experience in operating both an informational technology business as well as real estate brokerage. This experience is the foundation for his future role of service as Travis County tax assessor.
Absolutely. With a background in business, having been in business for myself for 16 years, I think that translates very nicely into a role in government, because I believe that the government should be run like a business. When you have to run a business for yourself, you learn about streamlining operations, you learn about efficiency, you learn about customer service, and you learn about changing technologies. And I think if you don't learn that, you simply go out of business. And sometimes government doesn't have to be held to those kind of standards, but I think it should be, and that's what I plan to bring to this office.
So you're running for a particular position in government that people aren't really aware of. They know about it, trust me. They're not happy when they hear tax assessor. I mean, explain to the folks a little bit about what that is, why it's important. Should they be afraid of it? Should they be really keeping a mindful eye on what that job is? And so give the folks a little bit of Reader's Digest about why you're running and how important that particular position is.
Absolutely. The tax assessor's office, it's responsible for the collection and disbursement of the tax revenue. And as you stated earlier in your show, Craig, that we need to be mindful where our tax dollars are going and what they're being used for. Now, the office itself simply works with the different municipalities and jurisdictions, such as school districts and water districts, things like that, and takes in the revenue again and distributes it where it needs to go. The other major function of the office is acting as the voter registrar, and that's more of the political side of things. Registering the voters in a county, I think that's very important. You get into issues of registration, but also keeping people off the rolls that shouldn't be on there, combating voter fraud, and just keeping deceased people off of the rolls, but then also enrolling the entire county, everybody in it, legitimate voters, and not just sticking to one part of the county. Some voter registrars make it a partisan affair, and they only enroll people that are affiliated with their own party so that they can cement their own party's stronghold, if that's what they indeed have, or bolster it in that county. And that's it's not something that I want to do at all. I think that we need to up our voter registration in this county, and I'd like to work with everyone in this county, from the city of Austin to Lago, Vista, where we are now, Lakeway, Pflugerville, Manor. This is a large county. It's grown quite a bit in the last 4 years, and it will continue to grow.
When you talk about taxes, let's look at the platform for people running for president, right? You've got Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan against the current administration, okay? And you're in a district, you're in a county that is really prominently a Democrat-ran city. I mean, Austin is very Democrat. There's no doubt about that.
It's true.
So there's challenges that you have and that we all have that call ourselves conservatives, because really the name's been stolen and then kind of been re-engineered that it's not a good thing to be a conservative. And I've always said, listen, if you don't conservatively balance your checkbook or eat apple pie, both sides aren't going to be good. You're not going to have any money in your checking account because you're not going to know, you're going to overspend typically because you're not going to keep track of it. And if I eat too much apple pie that I love, I'm going to gain a whole lot of weight. So both things I have to be mindful of so I don't get too fat, right? On either side.
Absolutely. And you know, the word conservatism, I see it as responsibility. It's simply doing the right thing and doing it with integrity and doing it in such a way that you're not wasteful of the people's resources. I mean, these positions in government are about responsibility and accountability, and I think that's, if you want to use the word conservative, if you want to use the word accountable, if you want to use the word responsible, feel free to change them out, because in an office like this, that's what I plan to do, and I'm a very reasonable person. It's when I go and talk, as you mentioned, sometimes the city of Austin, it does lean a bit Democrat, as we know. But you know, I've gone in there and I've introduced myself. Sometimes just a face-to-face encounter with people is enough to disarm them a little bit. Say, wait a minute, we have this stereotype of what a Republican should be, and now here's this guy in front of us. He's friendly, he's talking, he's answering our questions, and the answers he gives make sense. And when you get people to start thinking and just in a logical way about what's going to work and what's not, and you contrast it with the tax and spend philosophy or the unaccountable philosophy of just let's solve problems by increasing our budget and asking for more money and throwing resources that are in an ineffective way at problems, well, then you get a very expensive city to live in, and people are starting to notice. People are starting to notice that, wait a minute, you know, some of this rhetoric that's been hashed back and forth with the Democratic Party, well, you know, it's costing us.
Look at the state of California. The state of California has been run under, has run, a real social system for many, many years, for decades, and it's broke. I mean, it's so broke that it was writing IOUs to state employees, and it's because you can only have so many people with their hand out, and when more people are out there with their hand out, costing more money than the people making money to pay it, that's a problem. And that brings up this next point. Look at the national, I got right behind me, got a whole bunch of people's names, right? I think even yours is back here, right? Well, there it is, right here. Wow, is that stage effect or what? Well, it is sitting on a piano, so the keys we must stroke, if you will, are, look what, we talk about taxes. That's a huge thing in national politics also. Do you believe we're not taxed enough? Or do you believe we're taxed too much? Because depending on what party you want to lead, the Democrats believe that we need to tax the rich more. And, do you believe that that's true? Do we tax enough?
I think that we are actually taxed too much. And if you break down the budget of, say, a school district or a water district or something of that nature, now some of them are actually run very efficiently, and others, well, they've just become these out-of-control bureaucracies where you've got kind of this politics of just hiring more people, hiring your buddies, cronyism, things like that, and you do see that inefficient use of resources. And I think taxes at the local level actually affect people many times in a more significant way. We like to scream about national politics, and that makes the headlines and the media and the TV and radio and all that kind of thing, but it's your property tax bill often that's really hitting your wallet in a very significant way, right. And that's a local office. It's something that, and you talked about with John Ulrich here a little while ago about local races, and really about highlighting why these local races are important. People get to the end of a ballot oftentimes, and they don't know who the 2 or 3 whatever names are, and that's my goal right now, is to get out and talk to people, talk to you, talk to the voters, and let them know who I am, let them know where to find more information about what I stand for, and go from there. And
well, we got a couple minutes left. And again, folks, you're watching the Craig Bushon Show on BeFirstInMedia.com. Okay, so you can go to CraigBushonShow.com. There's a link right on the front page. Click there. It takes you right to Be First in Media. Brand new media platform. It's about getting out with the people, with the candidates for this particular platform, but many other genres will be out there. So very excited about that. And I'm speaking with Vik Vad right now, and he's running for Travis County Tax Assessor. And, let's go over a couple things while we have a couple minutes left. Sure. I'm on your website, and there's some issues. Privacy of data, integrity of the voter roll, plans for taxpayers in need, okay? Talk a little bit about, here's one, plans for taxpayers in need. Talk about that.
Absolutely. Well, we have this idea that everyone fears the tax office many times. I don't think anyone really likes getting that piece of mail that's from the tax office or the IRS or whichever taxing agency. It's one of these things that maybe makes people cringe. But I believe that having a business background, you see the taxpayer as the customer, and you want to have a customer friendly approach. It's not that you should not pay your taxes, but you need to treat people not like these tax-paying things that are just,
because ultimately they work for us.
They absolutely,
they're our
absolutely.
employees. So for them being for any office taking a position that they have all this authority to push us around, that's a wrong way for people to think, and I think they feel that way because the history has been that's what's happened in the tax world. It's always a threat coming in.
Absolutely. That kind of heavy-handedness has got to stop, and that's something that, and I've felt that before getting that piece of mail. What's this with the tax office, and now we've got to deal with something. And I'm saying let's open it up to the people. Let's open it up to our customers, and if they have a problem, come and see us. Come and talk to us. We're not going to be heavy-handed with you. We are going to treat you like a human being. And you can talk to us.
Because these are tough times now.
And it is. Economic
very
times
hard
are tough.
for people. They fall behind on. Listen, to the average person, if it comes down to putting food on their plate, and even a business owner struggling to keep their employees fed monetarily, paying paychecks and all that, what goes, obviously, the paying the tax, that's got to be something that's threatening the whole tax system right now. How you see this economy that we've had for quite some time now, where people, are you seeing people struggling as you're doing your research and trying to say, hey, I want to win this position, so when I go in, there's probably a lot of people there that are struggling to pay, not because they don't want to, they just don't have the money.
And that's where you can do things like work a payment plan or just work with the person in their situation. Of course, assess if it is a legitimate situation. Assess if it's, some people are going to try to game the system, and you do have to, watch for that, obviously. But it's there are a lot of just honest taxpayers out there that do require that kind of plan like that. I wanted to also address that privacy of the data that
you read my mind, or you looked at my screen.
I peeked at the screen.
I'm going to read what it says real quick, because this is the last subject we'll cover. And again,
Okay.
I thank you so much. It's Vik Vad, running for Travis County Tax Assessor. We're out at the Keep America Free Gala for the North Shore Republican Club in Lago, Vista. What a beautiful place to be. The Great Lake Travis, I believe, is right over here. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Gorgeous day, too.
But it says privacy of data, and this is right on vikvad.com. An enormous amount of personal and private data is in the custody of the tax assessor's office. Whether it's the voter rolls or the financial accounting, we need to make sure that this data is safe and remains available only to those making a lawful request for it. Further, the system's architecture of all devices storing such data needs to be safeguarded and up to date to handle the way citizens are served while preventing unauthorized access.
Absolutely, and I think that this is a hot button issue today, and it will become even more of a hot button issue in the next 4 years. We are seeing privacy. We've seen instances in the information technology world where there's a breach of privacy, and some data storage has been breached in this way, and information has been stolen on the citizens, private information. Some of the voter rolls contain social security numbers and things of that sensitive nature, and I'd like to be able to, having an information technology background, be able to see what kind of information systems are behind the scenes of these offices, and then work to safeguard this information, and like you said, either from unauthorized breach from things like hackers, but also other government agencies that make requests for this. Are they going to safeguard it just as well as I would? We've got to assess, and do they have a lawful right to this information in the first place? I think that's very important to people nowadays.
Well, I'll say this: last conversation I had with Congressman Michael McCall. He was discussing about the threats of the cyber world, threats of security through the web, in China building their own domain, their own www, if you will, their own web broadcasting. And the bottom line is there's a lot of challenges that we face keeping all this data protected. Okay. Now, 30 seconds. Tell the folks why they need to vote for Vik Vad.
Well, like I mentioned, I'm Vik Vad. I'm running for Travis County Tax Assessor, and I have a business background, and I would like to bring that kind of a background and that sort of just a logical, methodical way of running the government efficiently, cleanly, honestly. And I grew up here in Austin. This is my hometown. Went to Anderson High School here. Went to the University of Texas, and I've grown up here, and I've watched it grow and change. And I intend to stay here, and I'd like to be part of the positive changes for this community. I'd like to be able to serve in this capacity so that we can make this a better place. I've seen the Democrats control the local offices pretty much all of my voting life, and I would like to, at a minimum, see a little bit of balance. See, I think if you go too extreme in any direction, sometimes you find things you find inefficiencies. You find people that have been in offices for a very long time that haven't changed with the times. I'd like to bring this office up to date.
Very good. Well, there you have it, folks. Vik Vad running for Travis County Tax Assessor. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, it's up to you to pay attention to what people are saying to you. Check them out wherever you're at. I don't care where you live. There's people who watch this show all over the United States, let alone all over the world. Make sure that you ask the questions. And if you don't hear the questions being asked, go to the forums where these candidates are showing up just like this one at this gala event, the Keep America Free with the North Shore Republican Club. We're going to have this Vik Vad interview loaded up, and you just go to CraigBushonShow.com. You can click right on Be First in Media, or go to BeFirstInMedia.com, and we'll have it all up for you to enjoy. This is Craig Bushon, and we'll be back soon with some more interviews out at the event.